clicked on this video because you wanted to find out if the C43 AMG was a good performance car or not. I'm not here to convince you if it is or if it isn't. I'm just gonna lay down all the facts and then you can decide whether or not you think the C43 AMG is a good performance car or not. So, what makes a performance car a performance car? Well, there's a lot of things that makes a performance car a performance car. One of them is, does it look like a performance car? Does it sound like a performance car? And does it perform like a performance car? Yes, if it has the AMG performance exhaust from factory. Kinda no if it doesn't. Not gonna lie, if this car didn't have the performance exhaust option, then I wasn't gonna get it. But luckily it does, so I got it. Honestly, the AMG performance exhaust is the best exhaust in my opinion. It's a $1,250 option from Mercedes-AMG, and I highly recommend it. Sure, you could go with like FI exhaust and stuff like that, but if you already have the AMG performance exhaust, then I suggest just keeping it. And if you want to make it louder, just go catless downpipes and like muffler delete or something. If you have a C43 or you're thinking of getting one and it doesn't have the AMG performance exhaust option, then yeah, you could go with like FI or Army Tricks or something like that. Just do your research and find out what sounds the best for you. Yes, in my opinion, even without all the mods that I did, it looks like a very, very subtle performance car. It's not flashy unless if you're driving in Sport Plus mode with the exhaust on. If you were just cruising in the city or on the highway, just like normal, in comfort mode, then no one would see you, especially if your car is black like mine. I will say that when my car was stock, people that had the eye to kind of catch like a Mercedes AMG vehicle, they would know like, oh, it's a C43. And sometimes, even when the car was stock, they would get mixed up with a C63. Because from the 2015 to 2018 models, the C43 and the C63 almost had barely any exterior differences, except that the C63 had wider front and rear fenders, the bulges on the hood, and like the wider and more open front vents, and the exhaust tips. Like if someone saw the car and they didn't have a trained eye, then they would easily mix up both of the cars. And on a side note, the C43 AMG does get a lot of crap from AMG enthusiasts, and the reason for that is because it doesn't have a handcrafted V8 or a handcrafted engine in general. And that's one thing that turns off a lot of people, and people say that it does not deserve its AMG badge. For those of you that do think that way, I'm just gonna give you guys a little history lesson. The C43 did not come out in 2015. It came out in 1998, and back in 1998, and back in 1998, the C43 was a rear-wheel drive V8 car from Mercedes-AMG. However, back in 1998, it also did not have a handcrafted engine. So if back then they had no problem making AMG cars without handcrafted engines, then obviously they don't have any problems now, and this is 22 years later. Not having a handcrafted engine wasn't something new, but at the end of the day, the car was still fully developed by AMG. A real AMG is a car that is fully developed by AMG and released from the factory as an AMG. Something that is not a real AMG, a C300 with an AMG badge on it. That's not a real AMG. I'm not gonna go too deep into whether the C43 is an AMG or not, because I could talk about that for days, but it's up to you. You can decide whether you think it's an AMG or not. It's just that if you think that only handcrafted engines from AMG are AMGs, then you're wrong. Oh my god, again? Okay, so now that I'm done being sidetracked, let's get back to the topic. So we talked about the looks of the car, how the car sounds, and now we have to talk about the performance and a couple other things on the side. The steering on the C43 is actually pretty damn good in my opinion. But basically, wherever you point the center of the steering wheel, the car goes. Even if you move it like half a degree to the left or to the right, the car will go in that direction, which is so nice. And one thing that we have to thank for that is the tires. So on the 2018 C43 with the 19-inch rims, in the front you're gonna have 225, 40, 19s, and in the back you're gonna have 255, 35, 19s. If you guys don't know what the number means, then let me just explain it to you guys real quick. So 255, that's the width of the tire, like how wide the tire is. And then the 35 is how tall the tire is from like the rim like upwards. And the 19 is just how big your rims are. When the front tires are skinnier than the rear tires, that's what allows for that direct steering that we get from this car. Like I said, even if you move a little bit, like half a degree to the left or to the right, you will go in that direction. And it's the tires to thank for that. And just because of how the car was built. So if the car had 255s all around, then it wouldn't be as direct as it is now, with 225s in the front and 255s in the rear. Performance-wise, in my opinion, when the car was stock, it was pretty quick. Like the shifts were really quick. You could pull through the gears decently quickly. You can keep the car stock for a while before getting like bored of it. Like if you want to try something new. After maybe like a year-ish, I got a tune and got more power out of the car. But now I have a Eurocharge tune and the car has 460 horsepower, which is actually so good. Like I feel like the car does not need anything else. Like if you went stage 2, that's like probably the max I would go on this car. That's like almost 500 horsepower in an all-wheel drive with rear-wheel drive bias car. Like that is super nice. If you guys didn't know, this car has the 9-speed automatic AMG transmission and it shifts really quickly. But let me give you guys just a small taste of the performance that this car offers. And yes, my car is tuned, so this will not happen if your car is stock. But good news is you can get a Tune 2, Stage 1, and you can get the same thing as I did. So we're in 5th gear. But the thing is, when you put this car in Sports Plus mode, and if you have the AMG performance exhaust, and you just rip it, oh my god. Like this car, like everybody just looks, they're like, what the heck was that? And then they turn around and they see that it's a Mercedes. Even on the highway, sometimes I get like thumbs up on the road. People will roll their windows down and like ask me to like fly by them, and it's actually really funny. It's happened quite a few times. The quickest I've ever gone from 0 to 60 miles per hour in this car was 3.9 seconds. And that was with the Continental summer tires. And those are not the best tires that you can get for this car. Like you can get Pirelli P0s, like those are like the maximum summer. Whoa. And then you can get Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, and those are really good too. Alright, now let's test out the performance in comfort mode and in Sport Plus mode. Because in comfort mode and in Sport Plus mode, the transmission, the engine, suspension, the whole car just acts differently. So the first thing that we're gonna do right now is, well, we are locked into 9th gear right now, and we're just gonna floor it. There was a little bit of turbo lag, but it's like, it's not even noticeable. I went from 9th gear to 4th gear in like a split millisecond, and we accelerated pretty good. So in comfort mode, that's not bad at all. All right, now let's test out the Sport Plus mode. All right, so right now we are in 8th gear in Sport Plus mode, automatic, and we are just going to floor it. Jesus, I can tell you they never get old. The way the exhaust just like wails behind your head is just freaking crazy. I'm telling you, if you guys are getting a C43, you have to get one with the AMG performance exhaust because it makes such a big difference. Like it's actually like a night and day difference between the performance exhaust and standard sport exhaust or whatever it's called. Wait guys, we have a tunnel. You know what this means? Even when the car was stock, like, the car pulled really well. It barely had any turbo lag. Like, this car, it definitely deserves its stand in the AMG lineup.
Don't finna jump for the shit up top when I speak, all cap with the speech till they caught up in the rapture. I'm so out of line with the phrase game. Let's take a break, been a long day. Hit your line, what you fall through with the nights.